All right, hello and welcome. Today, we are cracking open this secret playbook that huge companies, like Toyota and even awesome video game designers use to finish massive projects without all the usual drama and stress. So let's dive right in.
You know the feeling, right? The deadline is tomorrow, no one's sure who's doing what, and it totally feels like one person, yeah, probably you, is doing all the heavy lifting while everyone else is just, well, they're just confused. It's absolute chaos.
So if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. The secret sauce is to always be looking for tiny ways to improve and to attack the work in short, focused bursts. Think of them like mini missions for your team.
Now, to make all this stuff super clear, we're going to use one big analogy. For the next few minutes, I want you to picture this. You and your friends are an elite team of developers, and you're building the world's next epic video game from the ground up. Okay, before we really get into the playbook, let's knock out three big words so we're all speaking the same language. A methodology? It's just a system, like the rules of a game. Incremental? That just means making small, baby step changes. And a facilitator? That's kind of like a team coach or a referee. Got it? Awesome. All right, first up, we have to talk about the mindset. This is the whole philosophy that powers everything else we're going to discuss. It's called Kaizen, and it's all about how your team thinks. The word Kaizen, it's actually two Japanese words smushed together. Kai, which means change, and Zen, which means for the better. So put them together, and Kaizen literally means change for the better. It's this powerful idea that you can make huge, amazing progress just by making tiny, continuous improvements day after day. And here's the really cool part. The key word here is everyone. In a place that really gets Kaizen, getting better isn't just the boss's job. Nope. Every single person on the team, from the star programmer of your video game all the way down to the brand new intern, is responsible for spotting things that aren't working and suggesting ways to make them better. And if you want to know how seriously some companies take this, get this story. A famous executive at Toyota, a guy named Taiichi Ohno, would literally draw a chalk circle on the factory floor. He'd have a worker stand inside it and tell them, you can't leave until you can point out things that are inefficient or wasteful. That is what I call focus. Okay, so Kaizen is the mindset, right? It's the why. But how do you actually put that thinking into action? Well, that's where the game plan comes in. It's a methodology called Scrum. Time for a little pop quiz to understand the rules of the game here. First question. True or false? The philosophy behind Scrum, which is called Agile, says that writing up a mountain of complicated documents is way more important than actually having a product that works. What do you think?
Yeah, that is a big fat false. The number one rule is to build stuff that actually works. So for our video game team, it means it is so much better to have a simple, playable first level than it is to have a perfect 100-page document describing a game that nobody can play.
All right, next question. Round two, true or false? Once you make a plan for your project, the Agile way says you got to stick to it, no matter what, even if you come up with a much better idea later on. That's another big nope. False again. The world changes, right? So your project should be able to change too. If your team is working and suddenly comes up with a brilliant idea for a new power-up in your video game, an Agile team doesn't say, oh, too bad it's not in the plan. No way. They figure out how to adapt and add that awesome new feature. So, who's in charge? Well, in Scrum, you've got two key roles. The product owner, they're like the visionary. They decide what needs to be built. They're in charge of that master to-do list. Then you have the Scrum Master. They're the coach. They help the team figure out how to build it, and they make sure everything is running smoothly. So the real heart of Scrum is something called a sprint. Just think of it like a short mission, maybe a week or two long. First, you plan the mission. Let's build the first level. Then, every single day, you have a super quick 15-minute check-in. After that, you get to work. At the end, you show off the awesome working level you built. And finally, and this is key, you talk about what went well and what you can do even better in the next sprint. You see that Kaizen mindset popping up again? Okay, let's zoom in on that really unique role we just mentioned, the Scrum Master. This person is like the team's ultimate coach. A really great Scrum Master wears like 8 different hats. They're a servant leader, which means they serve the team's needs. They're a coach. They're a facilitator for meetings. They teach the rules, they mentor people, and they clear roadblocks out of the team's way. I mean, it is a huge job. And here is the most important thing to remember. The Scrum Master is not a normal boss. They don't tell people what to do. They manage the process to make sure the game is being played fairly. The team itself, they are self-managing. They decide who does what and how to get it done. It's all about empowering the team to be awesome.
Okay, this is all cool for video game companies and car makers, but what about you? How can you actually use these ideas in your own life? Let's put it all together.
So let's look at them side by side. Kaizen is the mindset, the philosophy of always getting better. Scrum is the game plan, the framework for getting a project done. Kaizen is for everybody, all the time. Scrum is for a small, focused team with a specific goal. They actually work together perfectly. Use that Kaizen mindset to make your Scrum process better and better, every single sprint.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question, a little challenge. Forget about big, messy projects for just a second. Using that Kaizen mindset, what's one small, teensy tiny thing in your life, your homework routine, your soccer practice, even just how you organize your backpack? What's one thing you could improve just a little bit tomorrow? Because that right there is where it all begins.